Waitress insulted by customer, but he doesn't know who she really is. Sometimes the person you underestimate the most is the one holding all the power. On a quiet evening in a small town diner, a waitress walked up to a customer's table. Her uniform was faded, her hair tied back in a messy ponytail. She looked tired, worn, and invisible to the world. But to the man sitting across from her, she wasn't just invisible. She was a target. He mocked her, laughed at her, called her worthless, not knowing that within minutes, his arrogance would collapse in front of everyone. Because the woman he tried to humiliate wasn't just a waitress, she was someone whose identity and power would change his life forever. Before we dive deeper, make sure to subscribe and comment where you are watching from. It was a slow Tuesday night. Emily Carter, 25 years old, had been on her feet since 7 a.m. double shift, low tips, and a stack of bills waiting at home. For her, waiting tables wasn't just a job, it was survival. Every smile, every thank you, every dollar mattered. But that night, she walked up to table 7, where a man in an expensive suit was scrolling through his phone, not even looking up. His name was Richard Lawson, a wealthy businessman used to giving orders and getting his way. Emily smiled politely. "Good evening, sir. What can I get for you?" Richard glanced at her, then sneered. "First, you can get me a waitress who doesn't look like she just crawled out of a thrift store." The words cut like a knife. Emily froze. Her cheeks burned. A few nearby customers looked up, shocked. But Richard wasn't finished. "You know, people like you should try harder in life. Instead of serving tables, maybe you should have gone to college." "Oh wait," he smirked. "You probably couldn't afford it." The diner fell silent. Forks paused midair. Emily clenched her notepad, fighting back tears. But what Richard didn't know was that the woman he just humiliated was about to show him a truth that no amount of money could erase. Emily didn't argue. She simply took his order and walked away. But others had seen everything. At a corner booth, 2 young girls whispered, "Why is he being so mean to her?" Their mother shook her head, staring at Richard with disgust. Minutes later, the diner's manager stepped out, not to scold Emily, but to welcome a special guest who had just arrived. The bell above the door jingled. A group of local officials entered, trailed by a man holding a folder. The diner had been chosen to host a community recognition night. And the person they were here to honor was Emily Carter, the waitress Richard had mocked. Emily, it turned out, wasn't just a server struggling to pay rent. She was also the founder of a local nonprofit, one that had quietly provided thousands of meals to struggling families in the city. When the announcer called her name, the entire diner erupted in applause. Emily stood frozen, humbled, as the manager handed her a plaque. Richard's jaw dropped. His smirk disappeared. The very woman he had ridiculed was now being celebrated as a hero, right in front of him. And then came the real sting. One of the officials addressing the crowd leaned into the microphone. "Tonight, we recognize Emily Carter for her tireless work feeding families in need. A true reminder that dignity isn't in your paycheck, but in the lives you touch." The applause thundered. Richard lowered his head, his arrogance melting into shame. The moment didn't stay in that diner. A customer had recorded everything, from Richard's cruel words to Emily's standing ovation. Within hours, the video went viral. Millions watched. Comments poured in. "This waitress is more of a leader than that man will ever be. Poverty is not weakness. Arrogance is. She inspires me to keep going." Donations flooded Emily's nonprofit. Volunteers signed up in record numbers. She was no longer just a tired waitress in a small-town diner. She was a symbol of resilience. As for Richard, his name became synonymous with arrogance. The internet dragged him mercilessly. His business clients quietly distanced themselves. And the man who thought he had power in his wealth was humbled by a waitress who carried more dignity than money could ever buy. This story isn't just about one rude customer. It's about the hidden battles people fight and the dangerous way we judge them without knowing their truth. Emily Carter may have worn a faded uniform, but behind it was strength, compassion, and leadership. Richard Lawson thought he was better than her, but in the end, she was the one who stood taller. Because respect isn't earned through money or power. It's earned through how you treat others. And sometimes the person you mock is the very person who deserves your gratitude. If this story moved you, don't let it fade into silence. Hit subscribe, because these are the stories that matter, stories that uncover injustice, reveal truth, and remind us of the dignity every person carries.